because of my autism and ADHD, I have excellent pattern recognition and I'm a fast thinker and I am able to connect the dots real fast, which is why I know almost right away how to make a speaker or a consultant stand out, because I see like some patterns, and the thing that they feel hesitant or reluctant to talk about is often the thing that the leverage to boost their brand and their revenue and all that. So I love talking to people. I'm an extroverted person, which goes against the general image people have of autism and ADHD. I'm not an introvert. So it's AI, personality first positioning, and helping people, because to me, personal branding is not just some strategy or some business thing. I feel, and today, especially because people trust people, so they don't trust brands anymore, but also it's an identity thing. It's not just a brand. It's also not some fancy colors and some values slapped on some deck. It's identity work, doing the uncomfortable work, the soul searching part. And I have always loved psychology because of my autism and ADHD.
Before we dive into today's episode, please hit that subscribe button. Your support helps us grow and inspire more people on their journeys. Thank you. Hello, Magali. Thank you for joining us today and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Hi, Thomas.
So, Magali, for those who don't know you, can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, I can. I'm a personal brand strategist for speakers who are already speaking or consultants who would like to get invites for paid stages, for paid workshops, and other potential revenue streams. And I do so through personality first positioning and branding. That's what
That sounds interesting to me and something that definitely stands out. And before discussing that in more detail, can you, Magali, tell us more about your background, as we just discussed? And it's also something that I'm sure that many people have seen if they come across you online. So
Yes. So I have autism and ADHD, which plays a big part in where I'm at and, the things I've been through, including a TED Talk. This landed me my first talk, and it was TEDx. But at the same time, wasn't always easy for me. So I have a pretty unconventional journey, I think, because living and growing up with autism and ADHD by default means that you're likely to struggle more in some areas, which I did, including 9-to-5 jobs and all of that. But when I started doing this over 10 years ago, I think it was over 10 years ago, I always questioned the status quo. I really wanted to fight the stigma and beliefs people had about autism, ADHD, and its limitations. And I'm so glad I proved them wrong.
And I can imagine there are many people who have the same diagnosis or face it as well, but you are like a great inspiration for them, talking about it openly, and even the success that you've got despite this. So I'm sure that you're doing great work.
I think that when it comes to success, it's not in spite of this. I think it's because of it, because I really like my autism and ADHD give me like one clear goal and I just really go for it. Like I just, I don't overthink it. I mean, I do overthink a lot, but I don't overthink.
I overthink as well.
I don't overthink the stuff I wanna do. I just, I'm like, okay, I've never done this before. Let's just do it. And I figure it out along the way. And I love that because I'm not the person who, buys a course and or a book to learn from. I just, put in the work and then I learn from it. And that's how I've approached just about everything in my life.
Learning by practice is the best one, isn't it? I remember, if I'm not mistaken, from the TED Talk that you said is both curse and blessing, which I think is kind of really well said.
Yeah, it is, because I do get overwhelmed faster, and sometimes, especially when the stakes are high, I feel like I see the world very black and white. I also feel, or I used to feel really, really lonely about me. And, this is also an autism and ADHD thing. I don't believe in beating around the bush. I believe in, telling people everything to their faces and not lying or backstabbing. I just hate that. If I don't like someone, they'll know. And if I do like someone, I'll do everything for them. And with my clients, I'm either all in or all out. Like I don't half-ass it. I can't half-ass it. So, and I guess like a big part of my positioning and the way I approach this with clients too is I flip I turn flaws into features. So what people describe as too intense, too direct, too black and white, I translate it into a very much a go-getter, results and fast progress. And it's really amazing because it's funny because the thing that people keep toning down, the parts that they keep hiding behind, are typically the parts that that set them apart. Does that make
Make you
sense?
unique.
Yeah. So this is the entire philosophy behind personality first positioning.
I like it, and I think especially on LinkedIn, because I feel like that people often look for some kind of secret, or I don't know, but
Yeah.
at least one of my favorite kind of pieces of advice is to be unique, which of course it's easy to say, but kind of tough one. Okay, be unique, but what does it mean? But as you said now, embrace such as flaws or something that makes you just different than the others, and then actually makes you stand out on LinkedIn.
Yep, that's it.
And to share a bit of context, or just for the audience to know, how old were you when you found out?
That I'm autistic
Mhm.
and ADHD, 14 years old. So I've been living with my diagnosis for about 22 years now.
Okay. And I know that there must be like many ways or many things, but what are some examples that make it for you harder? Or, for some people without the diagnosis, it's like a sure or regular thing, but for you, it's something that you struggle with and people may not realize.
So the hardest part, sometimes because autism and ADHD, they're both considered to be disorders, but sometimes I wonder, is it a disorder because people with autism and ADHD are suffering, or is it a disorder because of the lack of willingness of society to adapt and to include us? So, generally speaking, when I share my struggles, people will say things like, oh, but sometimes I'm late too, or I forget a lot too, or I tend to get overwhelmed by noise too. It's different. So, for me, when I'm at a restaurant, and this happened, this was just the other day. I was at a restaurant, went out for dinner with my partner, and there was like lots of background noise. There was like a large group, and they were like laughing, and I couldn't focus on having a normal conversation with my partner. And because I was annoyed, I tend to hyper focus on the very thing that is annoying me, and I get so overwhelmed. And I'm very blessed and lucky to have a partner who understands this, but this, it's not for everyone. The thing that I struggle with the most, I'd say, is running a household. So I really like the gap between my job performance and me running a household. It's crazy. Like it's like I'm really disabled. I will forget to clean up. I don't see like the mess, and people would always assume that it was an excuse, but it wasn't, because it's annoying for me too, obviously. And the way I deal with these things, and I feel, again, I feel very lucky to be in such a position. I outsource everything I suck at because of my disorder. Like some things, I don't believe having autism or ADHD means like just accepting some doom's fate. But I do believe that if there's things that you keep struggling with that are giving you so much, pain and frustration, that you should outsource those things. And this is why I outsource everything with invoices, administration, and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I understand that. I mean, I think it's smart because no one really or not no one, but for example, when you're creative, you usually don't like doing paperwork and stuff like this.
Oh my goodness, no.
And something that, for example, helping with brands, with, I don't know, CEOs and people like this, I think that these higher ranked people often struggle or don't really understand what is it like to outsource work, because
Yeah.
you feel like, okay, I'm the best one, I can do it, I can handle it by myself. But at the same time, you don't have 24 hours to do everything by yourself.
My
And you need to be
goodness.
realistic. There are just people who are better than you are in certain areas.
Yeah, and I swear, I just a couple of weeks ago, I almost wanted to quit because of all the paperwork. I was like, I can't handle this because
Yeah.
I'm behind on so many things, which is why I now hired a PA. So
And I think at the same time, at least it gives you time to focus what you're best at and also what you enjoy
yeah,
the most, right?
yes, so true.
So then what would be the areas that you enjoy the most?
So I love, like, I'm currently, I'm all in on the AI thing, but not in the way that everyone is, all AI. The way I see it, AI can optimize certain processes, but I don't outsource the entire process to writing. The worst thing that's happening right now, I think, is people losing common sense and critical thinking over AI. I
I
hate it.
think so too.
I hate it so much. So I'm figuring out how I can optimize the daunting and repetitive tasks for me, how I can use it as an editor to improve my writing, since I'm not a native speaker. English is not my first language.
I
And
speak amazing.
thank you so much. So do you.
Thank you.
And so that's basically my area of hyper focus, but also the personality first positioning and strategy. Like, because of my autism and ADHD, I have excellent pattern recognition, and I'm a fast thinker, and I am able to connect the dots real fast, which is why I know almost right away how to make a speaker or a consultant stand out, because I see like some patterns, and the thing that they feel, hesitant or reluctant to talk about is often the thing that, is, the leverage to, boost their brand and their revenue and all that. So I love talking to people. I'm an extroverted person, which is also, which goes against the general image people have of autism and ADHD. I'm not an introvert. Like, I'm yeah, so it's AI, personality first positioning, and helping people. Because to me, personal branding is not just some strategy or like some business thing. I feel, and today, especially because people trust people, so they don't trust brands anymore. But also, it's an identity thing. It's not just a brand. It's also not, some fancy colors and some values slapped on some
Yeah.
deck. It's identity work. It's doing the uncomfortable work, the soul searching part, and that's what I love. I have always loved psychology because of my autism and ADHD, but also because of, marketing is psychology, right?
Yeah, I like it. And I think, as we just discussed kind of AI and now what you said, I feel like that's actually what is, I think, already now, but even more in the future, going to be like a competitive advantage. Because as you can see with AI, a lot of content is kind of so, not all of it, but often
Yeah.
soulless or looks very similar. So actually, being someone who is different, distinct, and stands out is going to be competitive advantage. And I'm sure that in the future, it's going to be even more.
Yes, it's 100%. And I think that, like, I feel very, comment on every, like, Claude just changed cold outreach, Claude cowork just erased this forever, and I comment, no, it didn't, no, it hasn't, because, people love some good old rage bait, right?
It's like those posts that start breaking news, and then
Yeah,
it
oh
goes
my
there.
goodness. It's, clickbait disaster, but hey, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. And I was going to say also that I'm sure that you can see too that on LinkedIn, it's understandable kind of, but you've got so many personal branding experts, strategists, etc. So it might be a bit harder, like to stand out in kind of crowded market. But I feel like what you said, that's unique, that's different, as you said, based on personality. So I think it's also quite smart that it's different positioning than the others and makes you different.
Yeah, thank you for acknowledging and seeing that, but it's also like the way it is applied, because make no mistake, personality first is not about posting how you're stuck in traffic and you started to cry. It should be connected to your expertise, and the way people are writing is, you can just, like, I love doing the swap test where you could just swap someone's name with anyone's name, and if, they could have written it, then it's not unique. So this is why I love to speak from lived reality. Like, for example, I did a stupid pigeon post. I don't know if you saw it, but it was about a pigeon eating the butt of a cigarette.
No, I don't
And
think so.
yeah, it was about, like, I just saw a pigeon eat a cigarette butt. It didn't have a personal brand. It sure didn't have a slide deck. It just saw an opportunity and went for it. Like, it was so
Oh, I see.
ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, and it said, like, DM me pigeon if you want this, and actually 3 people DM me pigeon, which is
Wow.
hilarious because I never thought people, but see, this is the things, this is something that makes people, is what sets me apart. And I'm not saying that everyone should be doing those pigeon posts. I also know someone who's very rational and not, some people have pretty boring personalities. And, if it's boring and like extremely dry, then play that out. Maybe that's your unfair advantage, that you're like hyper rational, you see? So it doesn't have to be something as extra as it is for me. So
Yeah. No, I understand. I agree. Everyone is different after all, but it doesn't mean that there isn't audience. Like if you embrace it, get your unique way, it can work.
Yeah.
As always, I think the best way is to just test it and see how it works.
Yeah, and also don't try to compete on expertise because you're not going to win. Like AI is turning all of us into a commodity. So there's no other way than finding your uncopyable core. That's what I call it.
Yeah. And Magali, if we go a bit back, how did you actually discover the passion or even idea to do this, such as branding on LinkedIn, and see it as your career?
Yeah, so I've worked with speakers, even some big names actually, years ago.
I've seen on your LinkedIn, I was very impressed. For example, Seth Godin, Kawasaki, and even Brené Brown, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. And the thing is, I never took it for granted, and I feel like things started to really drastically change last year in July 2025. I was in a startup, in an international startup, working with speakers, and it was a very toxic environment for me. So I left. My co-founder ripped me off.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, no, I mean, today I really believe it's the best thing that happened to me, I swear, because I'm still owed about 20K. I'll never see that money, but that's totally fine. But anyway, as I left, so it was July 2025, and I had nothing left but my LinkedIn account. So what I did was I started talking to speakers. I started posting. I started building building my business in public. That's what they call it, right? Building in public, but not just from the, hey, look how great I am today. No, I'm like, I still suck at this, and that. And here's what it's teaching me right now, because I feel like I don't want to put on a fake persona. And I could tell that, people were frustrated because the same big names were getting booked and rebooked. And I felt like, okay, I saw what it did for me as I started, posting and gaining more followers, and applying that to some of my clients, like the personality first approach. And then I noticed that made all the difference. Like my clients went viral. They got invited to speak in, a European client to speak in Boston, all of that. And just made me so convinced that that was the direction for me to go in. But I didn't do it all alone. Like I did hire help from Matt Barker and Nick Brukima and some great coaches. So I do want to give credit where credit is due.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm very happy to hear that, and a great point as well that there is help out there, such as you just mentioned now, and there is like nothing wrong with that because it helps you to speed up kind of the process, and there are people who figure it out already. And after all, LinkedIn is a networking platform, so take advantage of it. Yeah,
and I feel like people, it's very much a networking platform, but people don't treat it as such. They will post and go like, hey, nothing happened, I'm not getting any leads. I'm like, well, duh. Are you starting conversations? Are you commenting? Are you treating intent signals such as profile views, comments, connection requests, and all that? Are you treating those as intent signals? Are you leveraging those? And most of the times the answer is no. That's a shame.
Yeah. And also keep showing up for a while. Don't expect like any quick results after a few weeks of being there.
Well, I'd like to challenge that belief, actually, because for me, but this is also related to the autism ADHD thing. When I'm all in or all out, that also means that I either give up because I feel like, okay, it's not working for me, but also if I see something's working, I double down on it. And everyone says you can get fast results with LinkedIn, but went from 7K to 24 followers in 6 months. And Like just
that's
after,
impressive.
yeah, and just after 1 month, I went from 7K followers to 11K followers. And it wasn't because I was, I mixed educational and personal stuff, but everything was wrapped into a story. It was uniquely me. And that's what I help people essentially become, like the most unique and uncopyable version of themselves.
That's a good point, and I'm glad that you challenged me. I would maybe then tweak it what I said, that I think that the majority of people don't double down in a way as you do. Because I think that, let's be honest, that people are often lazy and not everyone
But
is
they
like,
give up too
okay,
quickly.
yeah, and not like I go 100%, put actually the reps in and everything, but it's more like, okay, give me secret how to go viral, and then
Yeah.
quick
Yeah.
overnight something like that happens.
Yeah, I was just talking to a friend about this. Like, why some people really want to, all they want to, you know, all they want to do is go viral. So, and I'm like, why? Why does it matter? Like, the chances of viral posts bringing in leads, okay, they will bring in leads, but not always the right ones. So it's usually, yeah, it's a vanity metric.
I agree. Sometimes I feel like that it will be nice if people experience it, so actually realize that it's not worth chasing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Quick one before we get back to it. If you like this kind of conversation, I've started sharing short videos on YouTube where I break down what I've learned from more than 150 episodes. Content, podcasting, personal brand. No fluff, just what actually works. Just search produced by on YouTube. Or don't. And keep figuring out the hard way. And Magali, you've got a great niche on LinkedIn, such as what you focus on, but what's your advice or your take on whether to niche or not? Because it's also quite a debate on LinkedIn. So some people
Yes.
say you should, some not. So what would you say?
Well, that depends. I feel like niche. So I think that you can niche by audience and you can niche by transformation. And I think that you should start by, so the difference between the two is that niche by transformation is by the unique outcome you deliver. And niche by audience is the segment, the market segment you service. So the difference between the two is that one focuses on the audience and the personas, buyer personas, and the other one focuses on the transformation.
Yeah.
In an ideal scenario, you need both. But for me, I just switched to niching by audience, from niching by audience to niching by transformation. So to give you an idea what that looks like, I would focus on servicing keynote speakers and people who wanted to become keynote speakers. But then I noticed that the market was really, really small, especially on LinkedIn. So what I did was I shifted towards niching by outcome. So what I said was, hey, I help you get to paid stages, paid workshops, paid gigs, not to just keynote speakers. Most of the clients I service and work with are consultants, coaches, founders. So this still, I'm still inside a niche, but the audience is more broad. However, I would advise if you're just starting out, that you want to target a niche audience first. As you start to gain more traction, you can shift to niching by transformation or by outcome. That's my advice.
I like it. And I think it's good because if you also niche more, the worst thing that you find out is that there isn't as much audience, and you can go like a bit broader and then broader and not too broad, and then it's kind of message that applies to everyone and no one at the same time.
Yes, and for me, it's an ongoing battle, to be honest. It's not always easy. At the same time, the only way to find out who you should be talking to, you should be servicing and all that, is to just talk to people. And I feel like so many people are avoiding that. They just want to post and they're like, okay, this didn't work, moving on, and that's it. And that's a shame, really, because all of these interactions, they're data points you can use to fine tune and tweak your offer, your posts, and all of that.
Do it, then observe it, learn from it, and improve based on
Yes.
it.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I'm glad that you said it like about your focus, because honestly, when I looked at your profile or what you do, I was actually thinking, is there so many like speakers on LinkedIn to have it as your audience? So Of course, LinkedIn is a professional platform, and I'm sure there are many people, but at the same time, I was thinking that there may not be enough, so I'm glad that you answered it.
Yeah, because ultimately it's different when I say like I help keynote speakers, then I'm leaving behind a large group of people who don't really identify as a speaker, but identify as someone who who would want to share their expertise on stage at some point in their life. So I thought for me it made sense to include those people as well.
Yep. And when you help with this type of people, do you see like any recurring patterns or obstacles that they face and you help them with?
I love this question. Yeah. So what they do, they always, like literally each and every one of them would go, hey, so I am actually like, I have a dual pathway. I don't, I have my coaching business, I have my speaking business, and then there's this, and, I want to start doing more paid gigs, but I do have a job, or I do have this, my company. And what they do, so the pattern here is that they focus on the format first. So keynote speaking, coaching, consulting, those are formats. I focus on positioning first, which means the outcome. So for me, I do personality first, branding and positioning for people who want to speak or want to get more paid gigs. I do so through keynote speaking, for example. I do so through social selling, branding, positioning. So what I do is I do the personality first approach, but there's like a variety of formats I can use to, do that. So that's the number one mistake. And because of that, they position themselves, through the format. So they will go like, I'm a coach for leaders, and then I'm like a leadership coach. And like, what's the outcome here? Why you, like, again, this comes down to so for me, personality first positioning is why them, which is your ICP, ideal customer profile. Why you, which is, what have you experienced in life that led to, you being you, and you developing your unique method or signature methodology. And lastly, why now, which comes down to a Q problem. Q standing for costly, urgent, evident, which is the moment that, your buyer, your audience realizes that they need you.
Yeah, really well explained. And when you work with this type of people, I can imagine that, for example, coaches, speakers, leaders, they are, like a confident people who achieved a lot. So I can imagine that I might be wrong. It might be also hard to work with them, because if it's someone who's like a confident, it might be harder for them to accept any advice. It's like, okay, Magali, why should I listen to this and that? So what is it like actually to work with them? Of course, it's different for everyone, but what's your experience?
My experience is actually the opposite. Sure, there's some big egos out there, and I'm happy to not be working with them. But like so many of them, and it's always women too, right? They have imposter syndrome, and the thing that is holding them back is their self-esteem and them questioning themselves, which loops back to what I said in the beginning. Personal branding is very much intimate, personal work. It's not just a few content pillars and strategy and that's it. No, it's really it's identity. And when you're working on when you're working on identity stuff, it's very vital and mandatory almost that you do so in a very safe, trusted environment. But that doesn't mean that it's not as hard for me sometimes, because I have to repeat myself, and I just have to, like, like a big chunk of my time goes to encouraging people and saying like, just do it, do it, do it. And
Feel like a supportive person to help them.
Yeah, I do feel like a therapist sometimes, but I don't mind. I love helping people.
It must be especially rewarding when you see the results. For example, when I do the speech, even a speech or keynote or something, deliver, and you are kind of the person in the background to help them to get there, to achieve it.
Yes, yes. So what I do, I don't really help them with speaking techniques. Like, I help them with the part that comes before the stage. So when they get like leads, or when their posts are taking off, or when they're selling, 50K in one day, then I'm like, whoop. But yeah, it's incredibly rewarding. Like, that's, I'm all about the dopamine, of course. So
yeah. And if we look at actually your TED Talk that you did, Magali, what was the experience like for you?
Oh my God, I sucked. It was the worst. Like, I wouldn't, I don't see my TED Talk as some sort of reference for, doing a great speech. No, it was my first talk, and I just got off a 12-hour flight. I was jet lagged as fuck, but it was very overwhelming, because for me back then it was the first time I spoke in in front of like such a huge audience, a large audience, about autism and ADHD. I felt very vulnerable, but at the same time very cathartic too. Like, it was liberating almost. And I feel like this became the catalyst for so many more gigs, posts, invites. So, and the interesting part is that they didn't hire me because I positioned myself as a speaker. They hired me because I did not. I was just posting a lot about autism and ADHD and what that meant for career and branding and all of that. And that's why they hired me, because I was solving a clear pain point, like neurodivergence, not knowing how to navigate today's society, or society 10 years ago. But
No, you said it was a bad TED talk, but for the audience, it was a good one. I watched it yesterday and it was great. So don't say that it was terrible. Oh my.
I mean, I would approach it totally different. Like, I would prep more, but I was very the adrenaline was huge. And actually they hired me back the next year to present, to host that TEDx event.
Oh my God! Wow.
Yes,
And
so I didn't do that bad.
what's the location? Where is it happening?
Antwerp in Belgium, like one of
Oh,
our
okay,
cities.
wow.
Yeah.
And is like a speaking like this actually something that you would like to do more?
In theory, yes, but I feel like I want to help other people become better speakers, and also not limit themselves to just speaking. Because if you stop treating keynote speaking as a format, like I said, stop treating keynote speaking as positioning instead of a format, then it becomes the entry point to so many other opportunities: workshops, premium consulting services, passive like funnels and all of that. So I try to, make sure keynote speaking is part of the bigger picture, because it's very hard to turn this into a full-time business and just to live off of keynotes alone. Like, only the 1%, top 1% accomplish that. So,
but still, it's such a, I cannot imagine what is it like to prepare, step on the stage, deliver it. So very impressive and really well done.
Yes, it is. It definitely is. It's definitely an experience.
And who are, Magali, then some of your inspirations, such as people, whether it would be, as we discussed, speaking or LinkedIn, branding, or even outside, some people that you look up to, like, follow?
It could be anyone, really. I don't have like some source of inspiration, but like the anti-inspiration, I can tell you a little something about that. People who are like faking it all the time. My offer, my 3-month accelerator is called Stop Faking It, because people do, like, most coaches, and I'm not trying to diss anyone, I swear, but most coaches will make everything in their power to make you believe you need like a system, a framework, a hook templates. But all of those are so useless if you don't leverage what's uniquely yours. So yeah, sorry, I don't have any, some sort of inspiration, but
it makes sense. And I often ask, or I like to ask people, like, for advice or tips on how to grow on LinkedIn. As I said before, I don't want to say viral, which I assume that you kind of answered, like, to be unique, embrace it, stand out. But besides this, have you got any other advice or tips?
Yeah, so again, when I say personality first, it's not about just about being unique. You also have to solve a economic problem and address people in the hook. So when the danger with the tricky part with personality first positioning is that people post something like, "Oh my God, I just missed my train and now I have to wait 5 more hours," and I mean, great, but why should I care, right?
It's like
So
saving for Instagram, not for LinkedIn.
Yes, exactly. So you want to find a way to connect that to a relevant problem, acute problem, costly, urgent, and evident, that people are already aware of the problem. If you have to make them feel the problem and make them realize that, that they have a problem, then you're gonna have it's gonna take years. So find a problem and repeat that. So people will often you know, people are scared that they're going to sound repetitive, right? But that's good. You have to repeat the problem. Not everyone is, watching you and like judging you. Hey, you already posted this 2 weeks ago, or you already said that. Like in some other posts, hey, here, let me find it. It was 5 months ago. No, just repeat yourself and find that uncopyable core that makes you the person to share expertise with your clients and make you hired for your expertise. So that would be my advice.
Yeah, it's a great point, and it's also something that I sometimes struggled with as well, because I was about to post or mention something. I was like, I said that recently, it's going to be repetitive, but then you don't know, or there are so many people who, for example, see your content for the first time, or people don't remember because you are bombarded with content all the time from everywhere, so it's easy to forget. So it's just a great reminder for me as well.
Yeah, awesome.
And Magali, we discussed it, what you did before, whether it's a podcast or other things, which to me sounds like that you've done and you do so much. So when it comes to your time management, how do you manage to do, so many things such as build a brand, help people, business, and etc.?
Well, the blessing and, both the blessing and curse, I'd say, is that I don't see, and it's a cliche because at the end of the day, you're still doing work and you're still being focused and you're still, you know, overwhelming yourself with, input and all of that. But I don't see my work as work. Like I love it, which is, why it's a work in progress for me to log off, like literally log off. So yesterday I went to the movies with my partner, went for dinner. Then and I mean, I don't always succeed, right? So just, this week I went to a concert and I was selling out my cohort and I saw these Thrive card notifications like, oh my God, oh my God. So I couldn't even properly enjoy the concert because I was in some place else. So I was elsewhere with my brain. So, but yeah, like again, I hired a PA to help me manage my time. I also don't think time is something you can manage. Priorities, like you manage priorities, not your time.
That is true.
So yeah.
Hmm. And I also like that you are willing or not afraid, like, for example, what you said now, to talk about not only highs and successes, but even the real side of things. Because especially on LinkedIn or social media, you see often people posting and flexing like about success and what they did well, but you don't really see what's the whole picture and what's behind it,
Yeah.
and that there is much more in the background that happens, but people don't see or don't realize.
Yeah. Like, and I really want to, make people see the bigger picture, which is why I'm not just going to share like the hero story. I want to talk about, the mess, even while I'm still in it.
Because that's the reality that everyone goes through. And I think
Yeah.
sometimes LinkedIn or maybe even other platforms look a bit too over polished. So
Yeah.
then it's easy to compare yourself and then
Yeah.
kind of unrealistic expectations.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then, Magali, I like to ask kind of lighter questions by the end of the recording. So, what are some of your hobbies or what you like to do in your free time?
I do like to travel. I love like to enjoy some good weather. And I feel like it's almost, you know, like controversial to reveal this, but I love me some luxury, but not just for the luxury because it looks luxurious, but because of the comfort. So I fly business class because it gives me more peace of mind, less sensory overwhelm, not because I feel like a special little princess. So yeah, because of the work I do, it's very like it gets overwhelming. So I need to be able to completely log off and to unwind. So
And
I
to
travel.
reward yourself.
Yes, of course. And I love doing puzzles. I love true crime, watching true crime as well. And I love taking my friends and my partner out for dinner or brunch for that matter. Yeah, and visiting family and spending time with them. Those
So,
things, I
then
guess.
what's your favorite destination?
Oh, well, that's a very loaded question because it used to be United States. It used to be California, but
Mhm.
obviously in this day and age, it's a bit, I used to travel at least 3 times a year to the US. and now I don't because of, because of the turmoil. And so,
Situation.
yeah. And so today I'd probably say Portugal or Italy or some, because it's sunny and it's cozy and it's,
Yeah. And it's at
yeah.
least closer as well for you.
Yes, yes.
So it's like behind the corner, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Mhm. And then you mentioned true crime. I'm not that much into it, but whether it's books or I don't know, series or something, what are your favorite ones?
I love JCS. There's like a YouTube channel where he analyzes the body language and then interrogation techniques from actual serial killers, which is really interesting.
Scary at the same time. Oh my god.
Yes, but it's also it's that's the psychology part. Like there's so many things people reveal from their body language and from the way they behave and all that. I love, yeah, obviously I'm a big Ted Bundy, not fan of Ted Bundy, but very, I read the book and I barely read books, so that's something. Yeah, so but I don't want to, I never want to glorify serial killer. It's not
Yeah,
like
of
that.
course.
It's more like the motivations and intentions and the psychology bits of it all, I guess.
Yeah, and I was about to ask you about your favorite books, but you just said that you don't really read that much.
Yeah. So I don't really read that much because of, I think it's an ADHD thing because I can't stay focused. I'm more of like a visual person, a visual learner too. I tried audiobooks, but it's not the same. It's just not the same. But if I had to, like, one book I did finish was Bad Blood by John Carreyrou.
Oh, it's
Um,
about Elizabeth Holmes.
yes,
Oh
that
my god.
one.
I remember when I read it and I couldn't believe that something like that actually happened.
Yes, and it's such a, it's again, it's psychology, the narcissism and the way that people use manipulation to get what they want. It's insane. It's insane. But
Mhm.
also, again, that's also biopsychology. So
Yeah.
I really think it's interesting.
Yeah, but it's a good one because since then I've seen like so many times in the videos. I think there was a series, but when I read it back then, I was like, "Wow, this actually happened! It's crazy."
Yes, it's crazy. It's really crazy.
And we discussed it, Magali, before the recording about your skills with languages. So, can you remind actually how many languages you speak and if you are planning to learn another one?
I do want to get, so I speak, Dutch is my native language. I do speak English, French, German, and I do want to get better at German because my partner is from Germany and we go to Germany a lot to visit her family and friends. And I do want to get better at it because then it will be less overwhelming too, right? So I understand everything. Speaking is, can be hard, but I mean, I manage. But I do want to, become more fluent, and so I do want to improve those languages and maybe Spanish at some point because it's also like a global language. Yeah, but I love like
Yeah. Then when you go there for holidays, I know that you said Portugal, but maybe you didn't go to Spain, which is
potato,
just next.
potato.
Yeah. No, it's impressive, yeah. And Magali, can you please summarize where people can find you, follow you, and promote any of your services?
So they can follow me on LinkedIn, obviously. I'm also launching a Substack, the Bookable Expert, on everything personality first branding and positioning, and pretty hard to miss, so they'll find me on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn
Yep.
is the best place. Yeah.
Yes.
And I will always leave any links in the show notes. And actually, are there any like a plans, goals, or anything that you are planning in upcoming weeks or months that audience can be excited about?
Yes. I want to help people make money from being their true selves and showing up accordingly instead of, you know, putting on some fake persona. And whether that's autism, ADHD, extroversion, introversion, it doesn't matter as long as people can focus on what it is they're best at with their personality instead of hiding it. Then
Mm.
and I just launched my cohort, but I'm also launching a keynote, like I'm working on tools and all of that with AI. So I'm pretty excited about those. So yeah, but if you follow me on LinkedIn, you'll be the first to know.
Yeah, that's the best advice. And then, very last question, Magali, is there anything I should have asked you and did not, or anything you would like to share before we finish?
It's very kind, but no, there's nothing I can think of. Maybe probably if I, once we stop the recording, I'll go like, oh my God, I should have said this.
No, don't worry, don't worry. Just in case.
I appreciate you asking.
Of course. And I think we can then finish, Magali. I want to say a huge thank you. I really enjoy your content on LinkedIn. I think it's not only valuable, but I think it's also funny. And I think if it stands out, it makes you laugh, and it's just different than other stuff.
Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. And as we discussed, you're also real and authentic, which I think gets people talk about it quite a lot on LinkedIn, but at the same time, not everyone really is real and authentic.
Yeah.
I think you do it well. So I just encourage people to follow, reach out to, say once again, thank you very much for joining me. I really enjoyed it, and I will be wishing you all the best. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Thomas. Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thanks for listening to Produced by with Tomen. Check the show notes for all the links, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and share your feedback. Speak soon.